In recent days, the Ukrainian military has increasingly focused on cross-border offensive operations in an attempt to shift the dynamics of the war. Interestingly, the Russian military was the latest to face unexpected and mysterious explosions within its own territory, as Kiev continued its offensive strategy in the Kursk Oblast and battles of attrition unfolded in Donbass. Fighter jets, transport planes, and other aircraft were rocked by violent explosions at one of Russia's most strategic airbases. The site of these explosions was the Engels military airbase in Saratov, a base of great importance to the Russian armed forces. Before we delve into the details of the explosion that occurred at this vital airbase for the Russian forces, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and give us a thumbs up to stay informed about our content. Now, let's discover what happened in Saratov and assess the current stage of the war. On the night of September 17th, explosions occurred at one of Russia's strategic bomber bases in the city of Engels, located in the Saratov region. Ukrainian television, 24 Kanal, reported that violent explosions were heard near Engels 2 airbase, which is home to Russian strategic bombers Tu-95 and Tu-160. These long-range bombers, capable of carrying out both nuclear and conventional attacks, have been used repeatedly by the Russian military to launch missile strikes against Ukraine from this base. Satellite images released before the violent explosions in Saratov showed 4 strategic Tu-95 MS bombers and 2 Tu-160s deployed on the airfield. The images also depicted 2 silhouettes resembling Tu-22 aircraft, possibly an 124s, and a transport plane. OSINT analyst M.T. Anderson shared these images on the social network X, suggesting that these fighters and other Russian Air Force aircraft were likely damaged by the explosions at the Engels airbase in Saratov. While 4 Tu-95 MS and 2 Tu-160s may not seem like a significant loss compared to the dozens of bombers spotted at the Olynya airfield this May, these 4 bombers alone can carry up to 32 Kh-101 cruise missiles in total. Although they rarely fly fully loaded, the firepower provided by even these few units stationed at Engels remains considerable due to their nuclear capabilities. These aircraft are crucial to the Russian Air Force, which is why the critical losses from the explosions at Engels military airbase in Saratov came as a shock to the Kremlin. The primary concern stemming from this loss is why the Russian Air Force continues to keep such valuable bombers at Engels. Ukraine has repeatedly demonstrated that its attack drones can reach this airbase and much further. In other words, the military base located about 800 kilometers southeast of Moscow has been the target of attacks on numerous occasions throughout the war. In March, Ukrainian drones attacked the base while 11 aircraft were stationed there, including 9 bombers, 6 Tu-95s and 3 Tu-160s. Ukraine's RBC news outlet, citing anonymous sources, claimed that Ukrainian intelligence was behind the attack. Earlier in January, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced that it had shot down an unmanned aerial vehicle over the Saratov region. At that time, independent journalists from the Telegram channel Astra reported that 2 drones had been downed over the Engels 2 airbase. In December 2022, another drone attack on the airbase resulted in the death of 6 Russian military personnel. The Russian Ministry of Defense told the press that air defense systems had intercepted the drones and that military personnel died from falling debris. Kiev has consistently stated that Russian military bases are legitimate targets in this conflict, and they regularly target them with long-range drones. This Russian military airbase in Saratov has been identified as a strategic target by Kiev. However, was the Ukrainian military involved in the recent explosions at the Engels airbase, which Kiev considers a legitimate target? According to Kiev's legitimate targeting strategy, attacks on Russian territory are often attributed to operations carried out by Ukrainian intelligence agencies, including the Security Service of Ukraine and the main intelligence directorate. Some Russian military bloggers have suggested that the attack on Saratov's military base was organized by a joint Ukrainian operation. The Russian authorities have made no official statements regarding the attack. The Kremlin may be attempting to conceal the full impact of the strike on the base. Nevertheless, footage purportedly showing the moments when explosions were heard in the area has been shared on several Telegram channels. Ukrainian journalist Andriy Tsepienko confirmed on his Telegram channel that explosions had occurred at the Engels airbase in Saratov and shared video footage of the attack. He noted that Russian military forces had stationed 295 bombers at the airbase. Tsepienko also added that while it is still unclear what caused the explosions, they will continue to monitor the incident closely. Following these events, it appears the Kremlin is taking new measures to protect its valuable aerial assets from unexpected and violent Ukrainian military attacks. In response to these assaults on strategic military air bases, Russia has adopted certain security measures to safeguard its fighter jets and other Air Force assets. In a satellite image dated September 1, 2023, and posted on X by Tatarigamianasrua, who identifies as a Ukrainian military reservist, Russian military personnel are seen covering the wings of a strategic Tu-95 bomber with car tires. It is clear that Russia is deeply concerned about these types of aerial attacks. One of the steps taken by the Russians is to transfer fighter jets, transport planes, and other air assets from one airbase to another. Olynya airbase has been one of the locations used for this purpose. However, even Olynya, which the Russians considered relatively secure, was attacked this summer. Aside from Russia's unwavering faith in its air defenses, one of the reasons for this strategy is that Olynya's operational capacity is insufficient to house all the bombers involved in the war. Ideally, the Russians would deploy all their strategic bombers, fighters, and cargo planes at Olynya, the most remote airbase in the European part of Russia. This would enable them to strike Ukraine without the possibility of retaliation. However, considering that Ukrainian drones have already reached Olynya, this strategy is unlikely to fully protect the Russian Air Force from further attacks. This is because the Ukrainian armed forces have now mastered drones capable of traveling thousands of kilometers. Recently, in July 2024, the Ukrainian defense industry began mass-producing long-range drones capable of reaching targets deep within Russia. Ukrainian officials have stated that these drones are capable of hitting targets over 1,000 kilometers away. However, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized that the destructive power of drones cannot be compared to that of missiles. While drones serve a different purpose, they cannot match the speed and force of missile strikes. To compensate for this gap, Ukraine is relying on Western military aid. Russia, on the other hand, feels increasingly intimidated by Ukraine's growing drone capabilities. As this technological progress continues, it appears that no Russian city will be completely safe.